Hello, you're listening to It's Election Day Somewhere. I'm Melissa Mara.
And I'm Mike Bauman.
And today we're going to start off with Tuesday's primary, which is Minnesota's 5.
And who's the Congresswoman in Minnesota 5?
That would be Ilhan Omar.
And what's she a part of?
The Squad.
And what is happening to the Squad this year?
Well, they're being primaried pretty hard.
Yes, they are. And now it's Ilhan Omar's turn.
And who is primarying her?
Well, she's got a couple of opponents. My favorite being a guy named Les Lester.
Oh, boy.
We need more of those.
Yes.
Bob Boberson would be a good candidate for Congress. But her main opposition is a guy named Antone Melton Meux.
I'm sorry, say that last name again?
Antone Melton Meux. How very American that a guy whose last name is spelled Meaux is pronounced Meux.
That is interesting. Whoa.
Yeah, he's an attorney, and he's challenging Omar in Minnesota 5 on the basic assumption that she's become too famous nationwide, and we don't need that in our district.
So you don't want a representative who's got national recognition? I thought you would want that in your district, right?
Well, you know, the Latin word for national recognition is ego.
Ah, okay. Well,
and when you have a large ego, you don't have room for your congressional duties.
I mean, I can kind of get that argument, but also, like, she's pretty popular right now, like, in her district. So do we think any of these challengers have any chance against her?
Well, Rashida Tlaib got rid of hers last week in Michigan, who was running very much a fun little campaign of you're the Palestinian lady in a majority black district, so me as a black lady deserves this seat.
Interesting. That's always good when that's your only argument.
But it could be scary for Omar. She is not fundraising as well as Melton Meux. She's brought in roughly, in the last quarter, $470,000.
Okay.
Melton Meux brought in $3.2 million.
Whoa. Wait, that's quite a discrepancy. So what's going on there?
Because Ilhan Omar is bringing in the small grassroots fundraising.
Right. Oh.
Whereas Melton Meux is getting the rich guys who don't want Ilhan Omar. Remind me to edit that out. Okay. Whereas Melton Meux is getting the rich dudes who don't want Ilhan Omar in Congress.
I mean, okay, so that makes sense. So
he's getting a lot of PAC money.
Okay, so yes, PAC money.
He's getting like billionaire tech CEOs who normally only give money to Republicans. Suddenly, they've decided they'll go with Melton Meux because, let's face it, no Republican has a chance in this district, so you have to mess around in the primary.
So you go with somebody who's at least like middle of the road. You can't get any Republicans. So do we think whoever's going to win this primary is probably going to win the seat then?
Oh, yeah. It's a city district in Minneapolis. It's a no-brainer. The Democrats win. Okay.
So it's a solidly blue section of Minneapolis.
Yeah, but one fun little issue in this race is, do you remember at the beginning of the whole 2020 race, Nancy Pelosi said any vendors who work with somebody primarying an incumbent will get blacklisted. Well, there have been complaints lodged against the Melton Meux campaign because of the shadiness of his vendors. Ooh. Because they're having to hide.
Oh.
They're setting up shell companies where their real names aren't on it because if they use their real names, they're on Pelosi's shit list.
Interesting. I mean, it's an interesting idea.
Technically illegal, but really all it is like a company that does yard signs is wearing a false mustache so you don't recognize them.
Right. So they've got like some weird shell company names so that you can't connect them to the Melton Meux campaign. That is so hard to say.
Melton Meux.
That does not roll off the tongue very easily.
So we'll see how those complaints go. But, I mean, it's technically not legal to use a shell company, but what choice do you have but to temporarily name yourself Not Bob's Printing, Mrs. Pelosi?
Ah, yes. Well, so that's made things very interesting with the fundraising. I didn't realize that she was she had like a fraction of the money that Melton Meux is getting, but it makes sense if it's all from PACs and stuff like that. But also with fundraising, what do we have going on with the big race, the Trump-Biden presidential race?
The July numbers have come in, and the winner is Trump and the RNC.
Oh, boy.
They brought in $165 million in fundraising in July.
Oh, wow.
165 million works out to 55,183,946 containers of Clorox wipes on Staples.com.
Nice. Which is the new form of currency these days.
Yeah, Biden and the DNC not far behind. $140 million they brought in July. $140 million is 8,755,472 family packs of Wegmans store brand toilet paper.
Of course you looked up Wegmans.
Of course, the big difference between, as always, the Republican and the Democrats, 90% of the Democratic haul was grassroots level.
Oh, that's good.
The average contribution was $34.77.
Wow.
Now, $34.77, that's what Wayne LaPierre expenses to the NRA for a cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh, burn.
That joke's going off to Tish James in Manhattan. That's a dedication.
Oh, yes. Yes. So what do those numbers tell us? So what do the Republicans, that's mainly big donations then from PACs and from big rich billionaires, right?
Yeah, because they can. Now, of course, Trump has annoyed the poop out of Sheldon Adelson by giving him a call because, they've been giving, the Adelsons have been giving money like crazy to Republicans forever.
Sure.
He and his wife have each given like $600,000 already to the campaign, whereas most people would say, oh, thank you, you've been very kind. Trump called him up this week and yelled at him for not supporting him enough, and now people are worried that he's just going to completely tune out of the race altogether.
Yeah, I mean, if I've given that much money and somebody is yelling at me to give more, my answer is then to just be like, well, I'm just going to lose your number. Why? So he's attacking people who are already giving lots of money to him instead of...
Yeah, well, the thing is, Trump has so many ex-wives, he doesn't recognize who isn't an ex-wife anymore and just assumes everybody's trying to take his money. Hey-o!
Oh, burn. Very nice.
That's what the kids come here for, the 1960s Borscht Belt jokes.
So what do these numbers mean in terms of fundraising? It sounds like they're pretty close.
It's pretty even, which means Biden has money. I mean, they just did announced a $280 million ad buy coming up for the fall, and of course, the Trump campaign can keep editing photos of Biden to make it look like he's asleep when he's actually praying.
Oh, that's always nice. Oh my gosh.
Or the fun one in the newest Trump commercial, editing out a microphone from Trump's hand or from Biden's hand, so it looks like Biden's just kind of talking to his hand, like a mentally ill hobo would.
What? Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Well, since we've been talking about Biden and Trump, shall we get into the big question of this week? Possibly, hopefully, we find out this week.
Who's going to be the new host of The Masked Singer?
Yes. No.
No, I'm kidding. Even though he's a raging anti-Semite, it's still Nick Cannon. Anywho, what were we talking about?
Oh, we were talking about Biden's VP pick. What do we think about that?
Yes, that will happen this week because the convention starts the next Monday.
Oh, so we definitely will find out.
We will find out this week.
I think it's been great that they've been kind of teasing it and not telling us for the longest time because I think, they're dragging it out as long as possible. And in some ways, I think that's the right move, at least right now.
Well, I mean, Fox News had the big exclusive that it was reporter, whichever Ducey it is, the young Ducey, the youngest of the Duceys of the many Fox News Duceys.
Oh, my God.
As Biden rode his bicycle by, Ducey yelled out, who have you picked your vice president? He said, yes. Well, who's it going to be, Mr. Vice President? You. And so Fox just kept airing that over and over again as if it was an exclusive that he named his vice president, which a bit of a cell phone because as they've been trying to make him seem like a feeble old man who can't leave the basement, just constant B-roll of him on a bicycle negotiating tough corners.
And then making a quick little dad joke on top of it, like a quick, you're going to be my vice president. Like it's obviously a joke. And it's kind of a lame joke, but the fact that he did it that quick on the fly, that kind of, like shows his mental acuity, especially after riding a bike. Like that shows that he's a lot more limber and physically adept than the current president. So
yeah, but hey, if you can stand up straight and tell a lame joke in an instant, why isn't Jeff Foxworthy president?
yeah, well, I mean, the bar is extremely low right now. But so what do you think about the short list of possible VPs?
Well, we keep hearing the same 3 or 4 names over and over again. It's Kamala Harris, it's Karen Bass, it's Susan Rice, and then that 4th wild card name, Tammy Duckworth of Illinois.
That's right, yes.
Now, of course, the conventional wisdom is he has to pick a black woman, so that kind of takes that completely takes Tammy Duckworth out of it.
That's true.
But, of course, while we're cycling through these 3 names over and over and over again, that means we just get to start pooping all over the same 3 women over and over and over again.
Well, at first, I thought Karen Bass would be a great pick, but of course, they have been digging up old speeches of hers that have been pro-Scientology and pro-Cuba, and yeah, those things do not really fly all that well. But
yeah, originally she seemed like the safe pick because nobody had any oppo on her, because nobody outside of Los Angeles had ever heard of her, because she's never been a look at me kind of congresswoman.
Right. Yeah, I think somebody, I'm not sure who I can quote this to, but I heard on another podcast someone refer to her as a workhorse and Kamala Harris as a show horse.
Yeah, Bass quietly worked her way up through the assembly back when there were 6-year term limits. So working your way through the assembly was a quick process to become speaker.
Right.
And then became a congresswoman. And, she's the head of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah, which would play really well for a VP pick, but because we've had plenty of time to dig up dirt and find stuff, like obviously in LA, you're going to have to do something pro-Scientology just because those wackadoos live out here. But
well, you don't have to.
No, I guess you don't have to.
Yeah.
But
you can try to annoy them because who cares about Scientology? Ow! Where'd this blow dart in my neck just go?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm saying this while living in LA, and it definitely does give me the creeps. Just in case anybody is listening in. You don't want to say anything too negative about Scientology, just in case.
But the big one is the fairly pro-Cuba stuff. Now, I don't want to say she was pro-communist or anything, but, I mean, she didn't shit all over Castro whenever she had the opportunity, which here in L.A., that's fine.
Right,
but
Middle
in
America,
Florida, that doesn't play very well.
Exactly.
Or, in those parts of America where they still think Gorbachev is and the Red Soviets are coming to get us.
That's true, yes. So chances are, we're thinking Bass's chances are pretty slim these
I
days.
think she's probably done now, which then leaves Susan Rice,
which
the former national security advisor in the Obama administration.
Yes, so I don't really know
to the UN.
I don't really know anything beyond that about her. I haven't heard any negatives or positives. I do know that it is an issue that she's not held elected office before.
No, but she has been involved in campaigns, so she knows the in and outs. But, of course, with Susan Rice, I have one word for you, Benghazi. And that's the worry that if you pick Susan Rice, Republicans will just keep yelling Benghazi and you'll lose all the votes.
No.
But, of course, anybody who cares about Benghazi was never going to vote Democrat anyway.
Well, and aren't they just going to yell Benghazi at basically any Democrat
if you
at
pick
this
Karen
point?
Bass, they're going to yell Benghazi. If you pick Michelle Obama, they're going to yell Benghazi.
Right.
If you pick Mike Pence, if Mike Pence was made the Democratic vice presidential candidate, they'd still yell Benghazi.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think that should be a negative on anybody, because if anybody thinks of Benghazi as a talking point, we weren't getting that vote anyways on the Democratic side. So what do you think the chances are for Susan Rice being the pick?
Well, she doesn't have fans on the Bernie Sanders left because what did she own a lot of stock in?
Oh, I don't know.
She married into a Canadian family with a lot of money in oil,
Uh-oh.
The Keystone Pipeline.
Oh, ouch. Okay, that's not great.
And also she does love the military intervention.
Okay, so she's a little bit more centrist. And so, but do you think she's got a good chance of being VP, or?
I mean, she spent a lot of time in the White House, and Biden knows her.
That's true.
And Biden does want somebody he can have the Obama-Biden relationship with, somebody he wants to have lunch with once a week.
Oh, that's true. So,
and then, of course, there's Kamala Harris.
Of course, yes, Kamala Harris.
And you have opinions on Kamala Harris.
I do. I have liked her as my senator. I have liked watching her, rip people apart as a senator. I definitely thought her presidential campaign was rough. I don't know how else to put it, but she just came off as really awkward. But
she had one great moment in a debate against Biden.
Yeah, she attacked Biden, which, I mean, but that also was like such a staged answer to him. Like she had that loaded in the chamber waiting.
Which is what debates
fine.
Are all about.
Right, which is
and
fine.
she did it so well, Chris Dodd will never forgive her.
Right.
Because somebody's opinion I care about in 2020 is Chris Dodd.
Seriously, why is he even, just please retire Chris Dodd. We're done. But yeah, I thought a lot of her town halls she did, and her little day-to-day Iowa
there was the one CNN
stuff.
town hall. Do you remember that when they asked her it was something about climate change up in Alaska, and she didn't know what an icebreaker was?
Oh, that's right. And the thing is, she's not.
I'm talking about the boat, not the conversation starter.
Right. I mean, I think she's great, but she does have trouble pivoting at times. Like when she's given a question about something like an icebreaker, when you think about it, if we're talking about Alaska and you're asked about something called an icebreaker, chances are it's something that is used to break the ice.
How about that snow?
I mean, you should be able to.
That's an icebreaker in Alaska.
Oh, you're terrible. Oh my gosh. But I mean, that she does have trouble. It seems like going off script, and that's where Trump lives, is off script. So, can she handle quick changes and stuff? Can she handle being attacked on all kinds of fronts? Plus, there is the issue of when she was Attorney General, she was pretty tough on crime, and so some people are not a big fan of that.
I believe the phrase is Kamala is a cop.
Yes, that's right. Yes, sorry, Kamala is a cop. So, but from what I've heard,
if I'm Sean Hannity, Kamala, because
God.
Remember we purposely mispronounce black people's names on Fox News.
It's not that hard. All the A's have the same sound. It's Kamala. You don't have to do anything.
Sorry, wait a minute. Sean Hannity says Kamala.
Oh, that's
I think it's
weird.
Tucker Carlson that says Kamala.
Yeah. Anyways, so they so from what it sounds like, though, she is probably the odds-on favorite at this point.
Well, she's a senator, and there's nothing Biden loves more than a senator. Biden thinks because he was a senator for 433 years that there's no more important person in the history of America than a senator.
Right. So, I mean, and that's why I keep going back to it probably being Harris, which I wouldn't be angry about. Fine. It's one of those choices where it's in the same way that Biden being the presidential, the nominee, I
mean, there are plenty of other names out there. There's still, Tammy Duckworth, people. Gretchen Whitmer flew to Delaware to meet with him.
Possibly, but then there is also the issue of, which is the same reason why I don't even put Elizabeth Warren on the list, although some people do, of that, what happens to her seat if she gets the VP nom?
Yeah, there is
same
always
thing with Whitmer. What happens with the governorship there?
If Whitmer becomes vice president,
yeah,
Michigan has its first black governor, the lieutenant governor.
Oh,
His
okay.
name is Mr. Lieutenant Governor of Michigan. I don't remember.
But I mean, it definitely, if it
I'm
were
gonna go with Charlie Upper Peninsula.
But if it were, let's say, Elizabeth Warren, that seat's automatically going Republican, pretty much.
Right.
So, and that's
for temporarily at least,
right?
Because they do have the Mitt Romney rule that when John Kerry was definitely going to become president in 2004, Ted Kennedy got the rules changed that instead of naming somebody for 2 years until the next, even year election, the governor only gets to, because at the time Mitt Romney was governor, a Republican,
Right.
and they wanted to make sure he could only temporarily appoint somebody, and then could the electorate could then bring in, of course, the obvious Democrat, which turned out to be a Republican, because it didn't work out well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is
Because
something.
the Democrats was Martha Coakley, whose entire campaign was, I'm the Democrat. By law, you have to vote for me. I'm going to go have a beer.
Oh, I forgot about that name. Wow. But no matter what, though, they do need to think about it, whoever you're picking, like what happens to that seat. And that's one of the reasons why it does make sense if it's someone from California or Illinois, because those are easily kept Democrat.
Then Newsom can put in somebody like Javier Becerra or Alex Padilla.
Oh, that's true.
If it's Karen Bass, then we've got a special election, which can put somebody like Mark Ridley Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
This is getting very hardcore local LA politics. And wait a minute, who's the other one? Oh, and Susan Rice. I guess they'd have to find somebody else at whatever law firm she's working at now. I have no idea.
But see, she doesn't hold
Tammy
office.
Duckworth. It would be Governor Pritzker
would pick somebody, and
maybe one of the toilets he took out of his State Street mansion.
Exactly. But either way, that's why I wouldn't even consider Elizabeth Warren on the list right now. And I know some people are still talking about her. Look, I love her, but it's not going to be her. It's just the math doesn't work out.
Yeah, but we do have to keep, talking about other names, because the same three over and over again, it just gets played out.
True.
Because you don't hear about Val Demings anymore.
Yeah, I haven't heard about Val Demings or...
she also has the issue of literally being a cop.
I also remember hearing about Mayor Lance Bottoms every once in a while, but now her name is not on that list anymore. Is there a reason why that happened? Or
Biden hates R&B.
Oh, you're terrible.
Her father was Major Lance, the R&B star.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because I remember hearing her name at the very beginning, and now I haven't heard her at all. But
well, it's definitely from inside the campaign. They're hearing that it's consolidated, but I think it's important to just keep spouting off names so that we're not destroying the three who are left.
That is true.
So keep saying Lance Bottoms, keep saying Val Demings, keep saying Michelle Lujan Grisham. Throw in Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
People keep wanting Michelle Obama, although she's definitely said she would never do it. But she does have the importance of being a black lady we've heard of.
That's true.
Simone Biles?
Let's
Why not say Simone Biles?
Yeah,
She may be
Simone
too young, but with a combined 30 Olympic and World Championship medals, she may be too much of a winner for the Democrats. So maybe
Nice.
Olivia Pope?
Olivia
She's
Pope is
not real.
Yeah.
Yes, but she knows her way around the White House,
She also
and
has-
Biden loves institutional memory.
True, although she is also not real and a little problematic.
The Charmin Bears?
Oh, Charmin Bears. There you go. Yes.
Yeah, hey, they're environmentalists, and they know how to deal with shit.
But aren't they red? So wouldn't that mean they're Republicans? Or I'm thinking the Charmin Bears, aren't they red? I could be wrong.
I know they're
don't know.
cartoon bears that poop.
Yeah,
and that's all I
it's
really
all
paid
about,
attention to.
Yeah, it's all about their butts. But anyways, so I think we've touched on pretty much everything in this country. And what about Belarus?
Yes. Sunday, which is that August 9th? Which would be, today, isn't it? Belarus is having its presidential election, which is normally meaningless and probably will be this time because President Alexander Lukashenko, he's really good at not allowing opposition to happen.
Oh, nice.
Like in the
Okay.
run-up to this election, I think 130 different opposition leaders were immediately put in jail as soon as they said, hey, there's going to be an election.
Oh, my.
Including this one guy immediately said, oh, you're disqualified, because it's always the disqualification. You have done something bad in your past, so you can't run. So his wife is running, and she's doing really well.
Oh,
Her name's
wow.
Svetlana Tikhanovskaya.
Oh, that's a fun name. Wow.
And, she and a couple of her subordinates got really good with social media. Like, they did their little hands. They did a heart, and one would do a peace sign.
Nice.
And as a signal that the election is close, those two advisors disappeared yesterday. And so she's had to go into hiding.
Oh, my gosh.
She left her apartment in Minsk, so she's somewhere.
Oh, my gosh. That's so scary.
And just being very blatant about it, Lukashenko is having unmarked vans just pull people off the street and whisk them away in the middle of the day as if it were Portland.
Oh, I was waiting. I was about to say a Portland joke, but you beat me to it. But
so, of course, Lukashenko's going to win because even if he lost, he's going to win because, well, I think he prints the ballot papers in his own bathroom.
Oh, wow. So what do we think? So we think that race is probably going to be obviously still Lukashenko.
Yeah.
And
he's been president for 26 years. What's to another 26 more?
Yeah, so nothing's going to be changing probably in Belarus. But I think that's about all the elections we have for this week. So join us next week when it will be Election Day somewhere. I'm Melissa Mara.
And I'm Mike Bauman. Don't forget to join us next week when it will be 6 straight hours on Kanye West.
Definitely not.
Future President Kanye West.
Definitely not.